3 times we wrecked. The 3rd time, I flipped completely off the back of that motorbike, head over heels, and I landed on my back in the mud, in my sick condition. When we first moved to Biota, the roads were very bad back then, and for the first 5, 6, 7 years, we, during rainy season, could not use the truck at all, and we couldn't use the motorbike either because a lot of portions of the road were very bad and didn't have much concrete on them. So for that period of time in rainy season, we only had our legs and feet to walk. And so we would walk all the way out when we needed to go out, and then we would walk all the way in. On the way out, it was mostly downhill, and that seems like it would be easy, but it wasn't, because you're scared you're going to slip on the green algae of the road and your knees bother you, and it goes down, down, down quite a bit. But then it takes us just 6.5 hours to get to the main road. But coming back, it's mostly uphill. And so climbing and climbing and climbing with a small backpack takes us 7.5 hours. But as the rainy season progresses, we get stronger, and that walk is not too bad. But we're always glad to get back. Well, one time we had walked all the way in, made it in good time. Usually when I get back, I'm all excited to be back, and I start to fix the rice, because we're very, very hungry by that time. But this certain time, when we got back, I was feeling just a little strange. In fact, I noticed my fingers were getting just a little bit numb. And so I felt chilly. And I said to Bloodjaw, is it kind of cool out here right now? And he said to me, it's a little cooler. And I thought, okay, that's right. Okay, good, because I have not been sick since I've been in Thailand. I hadn't had a day of sickness. I feel good every day and strong, and I have a lot of energy, but I didn't feel too good. And I thought, well, no, I'm never sick, so I'm okay. But by the time I went to bed, I had a temperature of 102, and I started feeling quite sick. And by morning, my temperature was up to 104. And by then, I just stopped taking my temperature anymore, and I felt really, really bad. Well, I'm the only medical person for all around, and so I had myself diagnosed. I knew what I had. I had dengue fever, because you get that from an infected mosquito, and it is a virus, so you cannot really treat it with an antibiotic, or really no specific treatment. Just treat the symptoms. And the symptoms for dengue fever is a high fever that will fluctuate up and down, and severe illness when your arms and your legs hurt and your stomach hurts and you're unable to eat and you feel like you're going to die. And then it gets worse and you're afraid you're not going to die. And I had all these symptoms, so I was sure I had dengue fever. And Bloodjaw said to me, don't you think you ought to go to the doctor? And I said, oh no, I can't go to the doctor. Look, listen to all this rain. I will never make it up that mountain. And so there I lay, feeling sicker by the minute. Well, every day, Bloodjaw would say, shouldn't you go to the doctor? And I would refuse. By Sabbath evening, he asked again. And I just knew that I couldn't make it up there. And so I refused again. But I was a little concerned because with dengue fever, the hemorrhagic phase is on the 4th day. But I had blood in my urine on the 3rd day. And that kind of perplexed me. But that night, Saturday night, it rained all night long. It rained so hard, as if an Olympic-sized swimming pool was opened out on the roof of our house all night long. In the morning, Sunday morning, Bloodjaw said to me, don't you think you ought to go to the hospital? I said, Bloodjaw, I could never make it up that mountain right now. It's been raining all night. Did you hear the rain? And he left. Just then, I heard God's voice, and I heard it more distinctly and clearly than, well, I've heard it before, but I heard it this time. And it said this, Gayle, you're being stubborn. It was loud and clear. Oh, I thought, I'm being stubborn. I am being stubborn. Bledjaw always gives me good advice, and I'm not listening to him. Oh, Lord, I said, I'm sorry. Do you want me to go? And just then, the music from the school, which is right next to us, the small Biota school, started playing music. It was what I call bad music and very loud, because they were, a teacher was leaving and they were going to celebrate that day, all day. And they can turn the music up very loud. So when that started, I knew, yeah, God wants me to go. Sometimes we just do leave when the music lasts a long time like that. So I told Bledjaw that I would go. Well, he got the neighbor, young man, to drive me up some of that first part of the mountain, because it was very steep and he had longer legs. So, but I had to walk up the first one. I said, oh Lord, give me strength. And I walk up the first hill. I've got my raincoat on, it's raining. And we have the chain on the back wheel. Well, when I got on the motorbike, we wrecked 3 times. And the first time we wrecked, that chain broke off the back wheel. And I said, oh great, we'll never make it now, because that chain really helps a lot in the mud and in the slippery places. But we carried on. 3 times we wrecked. The third time, I flipped completely off the back of that motorbike, head over heels, and I landed on my back in the mud, in my sick condition. And so I say, the young man that was driving the motorbike, he had been trying to make it up the steep place, but we'd hit a rut and a rock, and now he couldn't hold the motorbike up, and it was sliding down, 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 until the back wheel was on my stomach, and the wheel was going around and around on my stomach, and my raincoat tore, and my shirt, and there I lay. And just then, Bledjaw came around the hill and around the corner and saw all this, and his face looked horrified, and somehow that bike got off my stomach, and we continued on. It wasn't until much later I realized that if that chain hadn't broken off the back of that motorbike, I would have really gotten hurt, because the chain really is sharp, if you have seen one of the chains on the back of those bikes. Anyway, we made it to the hospital. I don't really remember the rest of the ride to the hospital, but I was so sure I had dengue fever, so they did the test for malaria, they did the test for dengue fever. It was negative. I had scrub typhus. And in scrub typhus, if you don't get treated within the first 7 days, you could easily die. In fact, right at that time, there were several people that were dying from scrub typhus. One man, his kidneys had already shut down. And I was on day 4 when I got to the hospital and got treated for scrub typhus. It took me a while to recover from that. And I often thought, why did that happen to me? But as I think back on the story, I think of how God talked to me and told me that I was stubborn. And I heard his voice. And you know, in John 10:27, it says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And you know, this is really present truth for the time that we're living in, because we must hear God's voice speaking to us. And when we hear it, we're communing with Jesus, and Jesus knows us, and we know him. And to know Jesus is a very intimate relationship. And then we can follow him. If I had not heard his voice that day, I might not be here today to tell the story. So I just want to encourage you, let's just listen to God's voice. Let's build a close personal relationship with him so that he can know us and we will know him.